Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadine Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Paschachadi Shatadine Vanchakalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Jayatam Suraturpango Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yasodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yasodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yasodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Vanachari Jaya Kunja Chari Jaya Kunja Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Vanachari Jaya Kunja Jaya Madhava Jaya Kunja Madhava Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Gaura Haribo. Shri Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki, Shri Prem Data Nityananda Prabhu ki, Shri Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki, Bolo Giriraj Maharaj ki, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji ki, Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, my revered spiritual master, he instructed me that before we speak on Bhagavatam, we should offer prayers to the Bhagavatam. As we were mentioning yesterday, it said that Krishna Tulya Bhagavata, Vibhu Sarva Shrai Prati Shloki Prati Akshri Nanartha Koi. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that just as Krishna is Vibhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so also is Srimad Bhagavatam. And before we, just as we offer prayers to Krishna, we also offer prayers to the Bhagavatam. So this takes a little over 5 minutes, so please be patient. And you can look at the translation, you can recite along with me. It's a very beautiful set of verses. My Guru Maharaj is very proud of this. In Orissa and amongst the sadhus, their Mangalacharana is a special thing. Sometimes we're invited to functions with the Gaudiya Mat, or sometimes with Babajis, and different persons speak. Sometimes they ask us to speak. And you see, so many of them they all have very special Mangalacharana, some of which are very long. So we can recite together. Just one moment. Oh. Narayanam namaskrityam naram shaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudidayat vede ramayane shaiva purane bharate tata adavande cha madhye cha hari sarvatra giyate mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam. As I was mentioning the other day, traditionally in Orissa they have what's called Bhagavat Tungis. It's a kind of house in every village where traditionally everyone would come together for their entertainment every night before television. And they would recite Bhagavatam. So this is a song that they would traditionally sing before reciting Bhagavatam. Paramananda he Madhava Padunga Luchi Makaranda Se Makaranda Panakori Anande bolo Hari Hari, Harinka name Vandavela, Parikori ve Chakadola, Se Chakadolanka Paraye, Manamo Rahu Nirantare, Manamo Nirantare Rahu, Ha Krishna, Boli Jiva Jao, Ha Krishna, Boli Jao Jiva, Moteu Dada Rada Dava, Moteu Dada Rada Dava, Moteu Dada Rada Dava. Dharma Projita Kaita Vota Paramoni Matsaram Satam, Vedyam Vastavamattavastu Shivadam Tapachayon Mulanam, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamune Krite Kimva Parayishvara, Sadyo Hridyavarudyate Chakriti Bishu Shushu Vistakshanat, Nigamakopataro Galitam Phalam, Shukamukadamrita Dravasam Yutam, Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam, Mohoroho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha, Anarto Pasamam Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Adhoksaje, Lokasya Janato Vidvams Chakre Satvata Samhitam, Yashyam Vaishyamanayam Krishne Paramapurushe, Bhaktirupadyate Pumsa Shokamoha Bhayapaha, Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam, Yasmin Paramahamsamekam Amalam Gyanam Padam Giyate, Tatra Gyana Vairagya Bhakti Sahitam Naiskanyam Aviskritam, Tachchandam Supaten Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchin Naraha, Arto Yam Brahma Sutranam Bharatarta Vininayaha, Gayatri Bhashyarupo So Vedartha Paribrimitaha, Sarva Vediti Hasanam, Sadam Sadam Samudritam, Sarva Vedanta Sadam Hi Srimad Bhagavatam Ishyate, Tadrasam Hita Triptasya Nam Yatra Sadvachi Krichit, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Swarup, Shri Bhagavata, Tate Veda Shashahoite, Paramamahatma, Chari Veda Upanishade, Jata Kichu Hoya, Tara Arta Lanavyasa, Korila Sanchaya, Jesu Jai Jai Vishaya Vachana, Bhagavate Seru, Sloka Nibandana, Jivira Nishtara Lagi, Sucha Koilo Vyasa, Mayavadi Vasishunile, Hoya Sarvanasha, Jaho Bhagavata Pada, Vaishnavira-stane, Ekanta Shekoro, Chaitanya Chayane, Bhagavata Jinamane, Sejavana Sama, Tada Sasta Achijane, Janme Prabhu Jana, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam, King of all literatures. Today we're going to read actually from Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's a Bhagavatam verse. We're going to read Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita purport to it. He has a purport also to the Bhagavatam, but we'll read the CC purport. This is 225. Chirani kimpati nasan. Chirani kimpati nasanti desanti bhiksham. 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 Naivangripa parabrita saritopya sushyan. Naivangripa parabrita saritopya sushyan. Naivangripa parabrita saritopya sushyan. Naivangripa parabrita saritopya sushyan. Rudha guha kim ajito vatinopasan an. 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 Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhanadurma dandan. 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 Anyone else would like to recite? Chirani kimbati nasanti desanti bhiksham. Naivangripa parabrita saritopya sushyan. Rudha guha kim ajito vatinopasanam. Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhanadurma dandan.
Chirani kimpati nasanti dishanti bhiksham.
Chirani kimpati nasanti dishanti bhiksham.
Naivangripa parabrita saritopya sushyan.
Naivangripa parabrita saritopya sushyan. Rudha guha kim ajito vatinopasanam.
Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhanadurma dandan.
Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhanadurma dandan. Any ladies? Chirani kimpati nasanti desanti bhiksham. Naivangripa parabrita saritopya sushyan. Rudha guha kim ajito vatinopasanam. Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhanadurma dandan. I'll just read the translation. Are there no torn clothes lying on the common road? Do the trees, which exist for maintaining others, no longer give alms and charity? Do the rivers, being dried up, no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains now closed? Or above all, does the unconquerable Supreme Personality of Godhead not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then should learned persons, like devotees, go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth? Srila Prabhupada's purport. I'm reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Madhya Lila chapter 23, text 114. He gives a little different purport, which is more, because prati shloki prati akshan, at the core there's unlimited meanings to the Bhagavatam. There's one verse I know of where Prabhupada gives 4 completely different translations in his books. So sometimes devotees say, well, we can understand the Bhagavatam just by reading the English. But prati shloki prati aksha, there's so much purport in every syllable of it. So Srila Prabhupada describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 225. In this verse, Sukadeva Goswami advises Maharaj Parikshit that a devotee should be independent in all circumstances. The body can be maintained with no problem if one follows the instructions given in this verse. To maintain the body, we require shelter, food, water, and clothing, and all of these necessities can be obtained without approaching puffed-up rich men. One can collect old garments that have been thrown out. One can eat fruits offered by the trees. One can drink water from the rivers, and one can live within the caves of mountains. By nature's arrangements, shelter, clothing, and food is supplied to the devotee who is completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee does not need a puffed-up materialistic person to maintain him. In other words, devotional service can be discharged in any condition. This is a version of Srimad Bhagavatam 126. Savai pung sampado dharmo yato bhaktir hoksajaya hoitakiya patiyata yayatma supersediti. Quote, the supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service under the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. End of quote. This verse explains that devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. Goragraganya ganagotra goloruharam Goranga Gudatama Gopyada Kolpa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Godvinda Deshi Kavaram Satatam Namami. So I chose kind of a provocative title today, which is God's Idiots. Recently we were asked to speak to a Padayatra group in Hungary, and I gave a talk about how they're all idiots. And somehow they liked it very much, even though I was insulting them. And I thought I would say something similar here today, a little different, but in some of the same lines. In this world, everyone has some motivation for whatever they do. And that's considered to be normal. And if you don't have a motivation for prestige, position, or wealth or something, then people think that you're an idiot. The word idiot is an interesting word. Idiot from the dictionary means a stupid person. It has several different origins. It's an old French word coming originally from the Latin word idiota. Idiota means an ignorant person, and also comes from the Greek word idiotes. Idiotes means someone who's very private to themselves. And interestingly also, it means someone who's a layman, means an ignorant person. And the word is described by linguists as perhaps being opposed to the word stratiotes. Same word, idiotes, stratiotes. Stratiotes means someone who has some stratus, some position. Stratiotes is a soldier, someone who fights in the army. But in idiotes, he's a useless person because he doesn't fight in the army. In other words, he doesn't understand the need that there's a war going on, and we need to go out and fight. So he's an idiot. There's a similar word in Sanskrit if you want to try to understand idiot. You can say puggle. Puggle means crazy. But a simple word is nir. Now you may be familiar with that word. Nirmamo nirahankara. Nirahankara means without ahankara. The prefix nir means without or less. But the word nir has a number of different meanings. Nir means idiot. But nir also means someone who doesn't know how to read. They're an idiot. Nir means someone who's a person who's lost or neglected the sacred fire. That person's called nir. It's a very interesting definition also. In other words, such a person who's not fulfilling all the scriptural rules and regulations, the rituals that are supposed to be done. Nir has a number of meanings. We'll go over them real quickly, some of them. It means someone who's unruly. You can't control them. It means someone who's independent, completely free or unfettered. It means someone who's simple, artless, innocent, careless. Nir means neglect. Nir means indifferent. Nir also means someone who has no children, has no progeny. Nir means someone who has no purpose. Nir means someone who's blameless, someone who's pure, who has no ego. Nir means someone who's steady, calm, and clear. Nir also, another meaning is someone who has no lusty desires. Another meaning of nir is someone who's devoid of hope. They're hopeless. Because this is the world of hope, isn't it? We had a relationship and we were in love and it was wonderful. But it didn't work and my heart was broken. But then I saw another girl and I had some hope. This will be different, right? And then the same thing happened 3, 4, 5 times sometimes. So we have to come to the point of being near where we're hopeless. We have no more hope. That's the nature of the conditioned soul. There's always some hope. Even he's on his deathbed and everything's gone wrong in his life. His son has become a heroin addict. His wife ran away with another man. His daughter just got pregnant by a Muslim boy. And he's dying from cancer. And you ask him how everything's going. He said, yeah, good, everything's all right. There's some hope they have. And a devotee is an idiot. He's near because he has no hope. He sees there's no hope in this world. Another meaning of near in Sanskrit is someone who doesn't have any friends. He's not following along with the social goings on. He's a destitute person. That's another meaning of near. And a final meaning is someone who's indifferent. In his purport to this verse we just read from the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada quotes a very important verse from the Bhagavatam. Some of you were reciting along with me. Savai pum samparo dharmo yato bhaktir hoksuje. That what is real dharma? Real dharma means to offer bhakti to the Lord. But that dharma has 3 characteristics. It's a hoitaki, a pratiyata, and yayatma supersedity. It has no motivation. Ahoitaki, apatiyata, it never stops. And yayatma supersedity, 2 meanings are there according to our acharyas. One meaning is it's satisfying to us. But if you have that understanding of the verse, it's not so satisfying because the verse itself is saying that everything should be for the Lord's pleasure, and then you're saying that if you do that, you'll get pleasure. It's a little contradictory. Another meaning is of yayatma supersedity, that it's pleasing to the Paramatma, not just the Atma, but the Paramatma is pleasing to the Lord. And therefore we get some pleasure also. So in the material world, everybody's doing something for some reason. And I'd like to suggest to you that this is a difference between mundane religion, or what Prabhupada sometimes called churchianity, and spiritual life, to put it in a kind of loose way. In spiritual life, there is no motivation. But as we were mentioning, I think yesterday in our class, some years after I joined the movement, one senior devotee was speaking to me once in Mayapur, and they gave me some words of affectionate advice, well-meaning advice. And they said, you should think about your career in ISKCON.
Huh.
It really didn't feel very good to me, because I didn't come here for a career. But for so many people, they can't understand, how can you not think of it as a career? Because everything has some motivation. And therefore we see most religions in the world, there's some motivation. Dhanam dehi, rupam dehi, dehi patabhajam dehi. People pray to the Lord because, what are you good for? He's a baker, he provides us bread. And today I'd like some rye bread, and maybe tomorrow I'll have some pumpernickel bread. And that's your purpose. That's why you exist. To satisfy me. And people think that when I'm going to practice some religion, the purpose of that religion is to get something. I remember I was distributing books at the Santa Monica Department of Motor Vehicles in California, in Los Angeles. And I was offering a book to some guy, and he told me, he said, hey, I have a better mantra. You should chant this Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. He said, if you chant this mantra, you'll get whatever you want. It's really good. I got a new bicycle and I got a guitar by chanting this mantra. You should chant this mantra. So that's mundane religion. And people, they have a very hard time understanding even why someone would do something religious or spiritual. Okay, you're doing something religious, we can relate to that. You have monk's robes, even we can relate to that. But you're not doing it for any money or prestige or position. Such a person is a near. Such a person is an idiot, because they haven't understood that they should join the army and they should all fight and they should work very hard. Srila Prabhupada spoke a number of times about what is our program, what is our mission. I put some of these same quotes in my Vyas Puja offering for Srila Prabhupada this year. In a morning walk in Los Angeles on the 3rd of May, 1973, Prabhupada said, this should be our program. Our propaganda means to make people happy. It's not a business to make business and take some money. And Prabhupada wrote a letter to the Governor General of Canada in 1968, Ronald Michener. And he was speaking to him about ISKCON. And the first thing he said is that ISKCON is a non-lucrative organization. I always like that. We're not here to make some money. It's the first thing Prabhupada said to him. Similarly, in a room conversation, I think probably Burijan was there, in Hong Kong on 20th of April, 1972, Prabhupada said, we are making our teeny effort. How to make people happy. Our only business is to make people happy. We have no other desire. We don't say that you give us some money in exchange of your Krishna consciousness. No, that's not our business. We are not merchants. We are spreading this Krishna consciousness free of charge. We are engaged servants of Krishna. Krishna will provide for us. Krishna will provide for us. Our mission is like that. We are asking people without any argument or social or political purpose. Simply we're asking that you chant Hare Krishna. That's all. Wherever we're opening our branches, it's our only business that we're requesting people to chant Hare Krishna or Radha Krishna. We don't want anything. We don't want to do any business. We're simply spreading this Hare Krishna mantra because people are being washed away. I once had a career in ISKCON as a life membership devotee. It was a short career. There was one day in Bhubaneswar when I was there, and some wealthy Indian man phoned the temple, and he wanted some white elephant, some Bideshi foreign fellow, to come and give a talk in his house. And so that's me. I'm the white elephant. So they asked me to go and give a talk. So we went there. I was very impressed. The man had a huge, 20-acre spread with an armed guard at the gate. And you go inside and there's many, many cars and a huge mansion. And we came inside and we sat down and we were getting ready to speak. And he came with his whole family and his daughter and his niece and the cousins and everybody. And they were all dressed very opulently, but somehow I just really felt sorry for them. Because it just didn't seem like they were very happy. It just seemed very, very shallow. And so in the beginning of my talk with them, I told them, we don't want your money. And we don't care if you become a member. We just want to see that you're happy. I quoted Srila Prabhupada in this conversation. And they really liked that. I could see it really touched their heart. Nobody had spoken to them before like that. Everybody else wanted their money. Nobody really treated them like a person. Everybody just treated them like somebody's going to give a big donation, so we have to give them a special garland and some special attention or something. And it seemed to work nicely. So anyway, the program finished. We had prasadam and things, and I got back in the Jeep with the local devotees, and we were going back to the temple. And on the way back, they were having a conversation. They thought I couldn't understand what they were saying because they were speaking in the local language, but I could understand. And they were saying, what does he mean we don't want your money? What does he mean we don't want you to be a member? That's why we're here. Of course we want his money. Of course we want him to be a member. And that was the end of my life membership program. They never asked me again after that. And I was okay with that because they saw me as something of an idiot. I wasn't really part of the Hare Krishna army who's going to take over things and collecting money and doing this thing and that thing. But that was okay for me because that's not why I joined. We have a saying from Srila Prabhupada, which we put in the cover letter of all of our Krishna Katamrita Bindu email magazines from the very beginning. And we're coming out with issue 530, I think now, coming soon. Prabhupada spoke to us at the GBC in Mayapur one year at a meeting, and he told them this chanting should go on. Instead of meetings, resolutions, dissolutions, revolutions, and no solutions, there should be chanting. This is the Hare Krishna movement. But who's going to do that? Who is going to chant Hare Krishna with no motivation? Only someone who's a useless person. Only someone who's near. Only someone who doesn't have anything better to do. He doesn't have time he doesn't have experience to go and deal with the money affairs, or the collection affairs, or the construction affairs, or as our Fakir Mohan Prabhu used to sometimes say, we have so many projects. We have the temple project, the construction project, and the book distribution project, and the life membership project, and this project and that. But who has the Nam project? Only someone who's useless, who can't do anything else. Only someone who's an idiot. And today, the day before Janmastami, we want to have some kirtan. And I'd like to speak something about the nature of Gaura Kirtan, in particular with the appearance of the Lord. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, in the Adi Lila chapter 2, there's a beautiful description of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or I should say the devotees in Navadvip before the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what was going on at that time before the Lord advented. I can sing this, you can chant Hare Krishna in response. Vishnu Bhakti Sunya Deki Sakala Sansar Antare Dahai Boro Chitta Sabakar Hare Krishna. Vishnu Bhakti Shunya Deki, when the devotees saw there's so many people, and the people are so expert. They're very good at making cars and fixing so many different things and having so many electronic things. But Vishnu Bhakti Shunya, there's no bhakti, there's no devotion to the Lord there. Sakala Sangsar, they're just completely absorbed in their material life. Antare dahaya bodha chitta sabakar. They all felt great pain in their heart. And Vrindavan Das Thakur describes, Krishna Katha Shuni Beka Hena Nahi Jan Apana Apani Shabe Korina Kirtan Bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. So they couldn't find anyone to do kirtan with them because people were doing things which were much more important, right, than just sitting around and singing and dancing, right? Well, who's going to do that? Only someone who's an idiot, someone who's near, right? They have more important things to do, to make money and take care of important things in the town and be the mayor and do this thing and that thing. So they couldn't find anyone who was interested in doing kirtan with them or hearing about Krishna Katha. So they did it for them by themselves. And every day they were coming to the house of Advaita Charya and they were doing their kirtan. And Vrindavan Das Thakur describes the nature of their kirtan. Krishna Katha Pashange. They were doing Krishna Katha and kirtan. Sakala Dukkha Jai, with great unhappiness. And that's an amazing thing about bhakti. Bhakti is two opposites in one container, in the language of my Guru Maharaj. There's both unlimited happiness and unlimited misery. The greatest misery we can imagine, along with the greatest happiness. It's inconceivable. So Dagda Deki Shakala Sangsara Bhaktagan, the devotees, they saw that the whole world's just burning. It's useless. Allah Perashtana Nahi Korina Krandana. They didn't see anyone, there's no one to speak with. And so the devotees, they began to cry. And Advaita Charya began to fast. And all the devotees began to do austerities. And the people there, Shakala Pashandameli Vaishnaveri Hasi, they would just make fun of the devotees. Stupid idiots. What are they doing? They're wasting their life. You should be studying in the school, learning something valuable, taking care of your family, being a good family person. That's really religious. Feed the poor, take care of someone, build a hospital. That's religious. What is this chanting and dancing? It doesn't make any sense. They couldn't understand. And every night, Chari Bhai Shivasa Miliya Nijagari, in the house of Shivas Thakur, in a lonely place. And their loneliness was a deep loneliness of the heart. They wanted other people to join them, but they couldn't. And in that Shivas Anga, this is where Gora Kirtan began, behind closed doors. Our movement began behind closed doors, and it ended behind closed doors. It began in Shivasanga behind closed doors, and it ended in the Gambhira behind closed doors. Sometimes we need to have some closed door kirtan. So we can, sometimes even devotees, they may cry in the kirtan. It becomes so moving to the heart. But if you do that in public, then what will people say? He's an idiot. Crazy person, mad fellow. And that's what the people were saying. Suniye Pashande Boli. All the Pashandis, the atheistic persons. Actually, Pashandi is an interesting word. It's a nice prayer. Pasanjahamaho nityam paraparada dharmakaha kshamashamam hare radha dehi me sadhu dharmakaha. That, oh my dear Radharani, I'm a Pashandi. Pashandi is often translated as an atheist. But a Pashandi means someone who's acting like something they're not. They're acting like a theist. So Vrindavan Das Thakur is using this particular word. It indicates that the residents of Navadvip seemed like they were religious people. They were dressing like that. No doubt they were putting on tilak and they were wearing religious dress and they were doing their rituals and things. But they couldn't appreciate the kirtan. Suniye Pashandi Bole. When those Pashandis heard that kirtan, Hoila Pramada, they said, these people are Pramada, they're near, they're crazy, useless people. They're a bunch of complete idiots. E Brahmana Koribeka Gramera Utsada. This Srivas Pandit, he's going to spoil everything. He's going to ruin our community. Because we have religious standards. You have to take care of your family. For most religious people, that's the most important principle. Feed your children, take care of your wife, and it's a religious principle. It's important. Before we become devotees, we should become human beings. That's the principle of a human being. A human being takes care of their children, takes care of their wife. Only someone who's an animal, even the animals, they take care of their children and their spouse. Someone who's less than an animal. We should do that. But someone who is inspired by bhakti, they have a higher understanding. And so they were saying amongst themselves, we should throw this guy out. We should take his house and throw it in the Ganga and just get rid of him. If we get rid of this guy, it's going to be good for everybody here. Because the Chankazi is a Muslim, and if he hears these Hare Krishna people doing this loud kirtan for no good reason, it's not really religious. Because religious means you're getting something in exchange from the Lord, right? You're doing it for some purpose. They're just a bunch of kooks, a bunch of wacko people who are just chanting and dancing for no reason. So if we get rid of him, then the Chankazi won't bother us. But if he hears about these people, he's going to come in and he's going to take over our village and maybe burn everything to the ground. And when the devotees heard them speaking like that, Vrindavan Das Thakur says, Hey mata bole jata pasandira gan, Suni Krishna bole kande bhagavata gan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When the devotees heard them speaking like that, Suni Krishna bole kande bhagavata gan, they began to cry. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says in another place in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, he speaks about what is really kirtan. Bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga dana, bhakti Krishna nama smarana kandana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga dana. You want some money, okay, that's fine. Even that's why you're practicing spiritual life. Maybe even that's why you've come to the temple. No problem. We're here for everybody. But you should understand something, at least philosophically, that bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga dana, bhakti is the greatest wealth. And who cares if you have nice clothes? Find some dirty clothes laying by the side of the road. Gaurkishodas Babaji used to wander around naked. He didn't even notice that he didn't have clothes on. And sometimes he'd notice, oh, probably I should put something on. And he'd go to the smasana, the crematorium, and take some clothes off a corpse and put that on. No problem. Krishna takes care. He provides everything. So bhakti is a real wealth. We don't have to depend on some materialistic persons for this movement to go on. We don't require any donations. The Srila Prabhupada's sannyas guru, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Maharaj, his elder brother was, my brain's not working. Krishna Kuna, you here? You remember? Odalomi Maharaj, yeah, thank you. His older brother was Odalomi Maharaj, and he became the Acharya in the Gaudiya mission after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta left. And I heard a story from some of the devotees, some of our friends there in the Purushottam Mutt in Jagannath Puri, which is the only temple Srila Bhaktisiddhanta ever opened, by the way, in Jagannath Puri. Although there's probably at least a dozen, maybe 20 or more Gaudiya Mutt temples there today. And that's the only one that's actually opened by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And there's a beautiful story about that place. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta spent his last days there. He got a letter while he was staying there from one of his Grihastha disciples who was living in Bombay. And that Grihastha disciple said, Guru Maharaj, I want to serve you, but I'm a Grihastha, and your Brahmachari and Sannyasi disciples are able to do so much better. What can I do? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wrote a letter back to him just a few weeks before he left this world. That Grihastha's name was Abhay Charnaravinda. He's our Srila Prabhupada. And that was the last letter he got from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta written at that place. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta predicted all of us. And he gave him an instruction. He said, you should go to the West and preach. And he said, predicting all of us, that'll be good for you, and it'll be good for those who help you. He understood someone's going to help him. That's us. So that happened there at that Purushottam. But after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta left, there was a group of devotees there, brahmacharis, and like many of our temples today, there was a group of devotees who were going out and doing collection regularly. They'd go to wealthy persons, and they had some kind of life membership program, and they would take donations and things from them. And they were maintaining the temple by those donations. And Odalomi Maharaj saw that they were becoming a little proud. And they were thinking that we're special, we're different. Because if it wasn't for us, you guys wouldn't have anything to eat. There wouldn't be any festival if the collection wasn't going on. Odalomi Maharaj understood that. And so one day he called for all the devotees, said, we're going to have an Istagosti. I have something I want to tell everybody. No more collection. We're just going to sit here and do kirtan. And the devotees said, yes, Guru Maharaj, it's a nice idea. I'll tell you what, let us go out and collect for a couple of days, and then we'll do the kirtan. He said, no, we'll do kirtan now. The devotees said, but Guru Maharaj, you don't understand, there's no more rice. We don't have any vegetables. There's nothing to eat. So we'll go do some collection, and then we'll come back and do the kirtan. No, kirtan now. No one's going anywhere. No one's doing any collection. Gulp. Yes, Guru Maharaj. And the devotees sat down and they started doing kirtan. And they were hungry. And the whole day went by and there was nothing for them to eat. And the next day went by and there was nothing for them to eat. And 3 days went by. And then on the 4th day, they were doing their kirtan, a little grumbling perhaps in their kirtan. And then all of a sudden some wealthy man came with a big cart full of rice and dal and wheat flour and vegetables and something. He said, I want to donate this to the temple. And Odalomi Maharaj said, see, I told you. And we said, yes, Guru Maharaj. They were thinking it's a coincidence. But after that, every day, somehow, different persons would come and they would donate. And the devotees didn't ask anybody for anything. They just depended on the Lord. They just did that kirtan. And externally, it appears like they were just near. They're just a bunch of idiots. They're not even intelligent enough to go out and beg, right? They're just sitting there and just chanting Hare Krishna. But their kirtan is real kirtan. That kirtan is a Haitaki kirtan with no motivation. And those persons are not ordinary idiots. They're God's idiots. Vrindavan Das Thakur has given this verse, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dana, Bhakti A Krishna Nama, Smarana Krandana. So that Bhakti is a real wealth. Okay. What is that Bhakti then? Bhakti A Krishna Nama. Bhakti is Krishna's name. But Smarana Krandana, it means chanting Krishna's name, remembering Krishna, and crying. And then Vrindavan Das Thakur describes in the next verse, Krishna boli kandile se Krishna nama mile dane kule kichu nahi Krishna nama jile Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna boli kandile se Krishna nama mile. You meet, mile means to meet, you meet that Krishna nam when you cry for Krishna. And Vrindavan Das Thakur says, Dane kuli kicha nahi Krishna na bhajili. That your wealth, your high birth, they're useless if you don't worship Krishna. So the devotees in the house of Srivas Thakur, in the house of Advaita Charya, were doing kirtan like that. They were crying, seeing the situation of the people in this world. And their kirtan made no sense. What was the purpose of their kirtan? Who's going to hear them? What's going to happen? But someone did hear them. Advaita Charya heard them. And Advaita Charya, seeing how the Pashandis, those atheistic persons who were dressed like religious persons, but they're actually atheistic, those Pashandis were making fun of the devotees and threatening to hurt them. Advaitacharya became furious. And he told the devotees, you watch. I'm going to bring the Lord. And from that sangha, that intense sangha of doing kirtan with no motivation, not going out and collecting any money, not having any purpose for it, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. This is the appearance of the Lord. If we have our Janmastami festival, but we don't include Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we don't include Srila Prabhupada, what kind of festival is that? It'll cause pain to the heart. We should understand that Krishna, he says in the Adi Purana to Arjuna, Ye me bhakta jana partana me bhakta sate janaha mad bhaktanam chaye bhaktas te me bhakta tamo mataha. There's someone who says he's my devotee. Krishna says, I don't know who he is. Nice guy, I guess, but he's not my devotee. But mad bhaktanam chaye bhaktas te me bhakta tamo mataha. That person is a devotee of my devotee. He's my real devotee. So we want to do kirtan for the pleasure of the Lord. But we don't know the Lord. I can go and ask Madan Mohan, what would you like? Would you like me to sing Jai Radha Madhav? Or would you like me to sing Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan? I don't know what they're going to say. I can't hear. But I can please the devotees. There's a nice verse in the Varaha Purana, Adi Varaha Purana, which is quoted by Vrindavan Das Thakur and Chaitanya Bhagavat. Siddhir bhavati vaneti sangsayo chuta sevinam. The sangsayo chutad bhakta paricharya bhatatmanam. The siddhir bhavati vaneti, we could say this verse refers to Goloka Dham. Who is a siddha here in Goloka Dham? The siddhas are those devotees who are serving Radha Madan Mohan. They're perfect. They have a wonderful opportunity to do that service. But siddhir bhavati vaneti sangsayo chuta sevinam. We're not really sure whether those Achyuta Sevaks, those devotees of the Lord, whether they're going to get perfection or not. We have this sangsay, this doubt. But in the sangsayostutad bhakta, paricharya vatapmanam. For those devotees who come here to serve, not necessarily Radha Madan Mohan, but to serve the devotees of Radha Madan Mohan, there's no doubt those persons will attain perfection. And that's the purpose of the whole festival. We're speaking to try to please the devotees, to try to inspire Radha Madan Mohan's servants. We're doing kirtan to try to inspire their servants, because if we please their servants, then we'll please Radha Madan Mohan. And Radha Madan Mohan then will definitely appear. And this is the purpose of our Vaishnava Sangha. The purpose of our Vaishnava Sangha, we want Krishna. Krishna say tomara, Krishna diti para, tomara shakiti boli. Ami tokangala Krishna Krishna boli, daite patava pachi pachi. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he sings it, hey sadhu, guru, you have Krishna. So I'm chasing behind you. Why am I running behind you? Because this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. And everybody's moving. It's not a static movement, it's an ecstatic movement. It's not stationary. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is moving how? Not on a wheelchair. It's not the movement of a snail. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement means to dance. And that dancing is a spontaneous thing. That's the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have to move. We have to try to catch up to Gurudev. And how do we catch up to him? What is it? In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we always quote this, that our bhajan is our Guru Seva. You remember Krishna Kun? Tate Krishna Bhaji Kori Guru Seva. Thank you. She's a big help. Tate Krishna Bhaji Kori Guru Seva. Prabhupada gives a little different translation for it. But if you take the literal meaning of it, the literal meaning is that my Krishna Bhajan is my Guru Seva. My Guru Seva is my Krishna Bhajan. Because that's what pleases Gurudev. That's what pleases the Vaishnavas. And more important than pleasing Krishna is to please the devotees. And that's the real festival. So that festival, the devotees, they come together because they want to have Krishna. There's a wonderful story in this regard from Jaiva Dharma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells about two devotees who, Vijay Kumar and Brajanath, they took initiation from their Guru Maharaj at Srivasanga. And after they were initiated, they went and they took the dust from the feet of all the devotees. There's some beautiful verses in the Prema Vilas of Nityananda Das describing the qualifications of a disciple. And one of the qualifications of a disciple is that he takes shelter of the Vaishnavas. Not just Gurudev, not just Amar Guru, Jagat Guru, my Gurudev's great, and you, what do I need you for? But Gurudev's not pleased by that. But when Guru sees that we're associating with the Vaishnavas, doing kirtan with the Vaishnavas, he becomes very, very pleased. So Vijay Kumar and Brajanath, after getting initiation, they didn't become proud and think, now I'm better than everybody else. I'm initiated by such an exalted Guru. They went and they took the dust from the feet of all the devotees. And then they arranged for a special feast for all the devotees. And all the Vaishnavas were very, very happy. And they offered everything to the deities there at Srivasanga, the Panchatattva. And then the devotees, naturally, they all began to do kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. And it was a very, very joyous thing because some other persons just got initiated. It means you're going back to Godhead, probably in this lifetime. They were all very, very joyous. And so many different Vaishnavas gathered together, the bhoga was offered, and then they began to distribute the prasadam. And those two new devotees, Vijay Kumar and Brajanath, they served out everyone themselves. All the senior Vaishnavas, they served them out prasadam. And then the senior Vaishnavas said, hey, you should also take prasadam. He said, no, we'll wait till after you. No, you take prasadam. And they made them sit down. They put plates in front of them. They gave them prasadam. And then all the Vaishnavas started eating. But they watched. They noticed, well, these two are not eating anything yet. He said, and they spoke to their guru, and said, they're not taking anything. You should instruct them that they should take. So then on the order of their guru, they began to take prasadam. I remember taking prasadam at one program, and it was small and intimate with Radhanath Maharaj in Puri. There was only 2,000 devotees in his group that year. This last time there were 7,000. So back when it was sweet and intimate, there was only 2,000 devotees. I remember taking prasadam with everyone and sitting next to Radhanath Maharaj. 2,000 devotees, and not one devotee started taking prasadam. Everybody had prasadam on their plates. Everybody, we recited the prayer, but nobody was taking. They're all just sitting and waiting until Maharaj started, until the senior devotee says, that's pakka etiquette. If you go to Tota Gopinath temple sometime, where Krishna Das Maharaj, the Mahant there, invites you to take prasadam, sadhu sabadam, be careful. They have so many prayers, it takes about 10 minutes for all their ki jais to go on before they take prasadam. And if you start eating before that, it's very I've seen it happen a few times, usually with Western devotees. Maharaj will run over them and start yelling at them. What do you think, this is a restaurant? This is Gopinath Prasadam. You don't start taking until everybody else gets prasadam on their plate, until the prayers are finished, and then you watch. And the senior devotees start taking, then you take. And you're not the first one to get up either. You want to wait until some other persons get up. That's traditional Vaishnava etiquette. In different places, different things are done. Don't worry about it. But that's the traditional etiquette. And so these Brajanath and Vijay Kumar, they were following like that. And it was so sweet, and all the devotees were very, very moved. And suddenly in that Sangha, an amazing thing happened. There at Srivasanga's temple, suddenly everyone saw Sachi Devi, the mother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they saw Sita, the wife of Advaita Chai. They saw Malini Devi, the wife of Srivas Thakur, bringing prasadam. And then they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda and Advaita and all the devotees sitting down and taking prasadam. Can you imagine? This was a fruit of their festival. They were initiated in the chanting of Hare Krishna, but the fruit of that chanting was they served the Vaishnavas in a very humble way. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became so pleased with the atmosphere in that Sangha that he personally appeared, and all the devotees saw it. Some of the devotees had prasadam in their hands, and they just became frozen. And the prasadam was just standing there in their hand, and they were just gazing at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees, Mahaprabhu's associates, until suddenly they disappeared. So this is our tradition of Janmastami. The Smartas also observed Janmastami. Srila Prabhupada, in one lecture in 1972 in Vrindavan on Nectar Devotion, he commented there's two considerations. There's Smarta Vichar and Goswami Vichar. Smarta Vichar means the consideration of the Smarta Brahmins. We don't understand those persons so much, although in some ways we might be closer to them than we think. The Smarta Brahmins, they also chant Hare Krishna. They read the Bhagavatam. They worship the deities of Radha Krishna sometimes. But they're very, very attached to the rules and regulations. And they think that's the most important thing, and that you have to take shelter of Varnashram. Contrary to what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was saying just a few days ago, we're reading from his purport to 10th Canto, chapter 47, text 59, where he describes that bhakti gives shelter. We take shelter of ashram. Ashraya means shelter. We have an ashram. But bhakti by itself gives shelter. And maybe we can't do the ashrams very perfectly. We should also accept an ashram. It's helpful for us. But even if you can't do your ashram business, you take shelter of bhakti. And bhakti will give you shelter. And we see this was Srila Prabhupada's mood. So the purpose of our movement, we want people to become idiots. The purpose of our movement, we're not the International Society for Construction Consciousness or Money Collection Consciousness. We're the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we like idiots. We like people who are coming and doing kirtan for no purpose. But what is the quality of that kirtan? What is the quality of that japa? Japa has been defined in a very beautiful way by Srila Jnana Chandra Goswami in his Gaur Govinda Smarana Archana Padati. He says there, Mano madhye stito mantro. That when the mind merges with the mantra, Mano madhye stito mantro, mantro madhye stitam manaha. And the mantra merges with the mind. Mano mantra samayuktam. When those two become one, the mind and the mantra become one. Your mind becomes non-different from the mantra. Eta di japa lakshana. This is japa lakshana. This is the quality, the lakshana of japa. This is real japa in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Or to put it in another way, Sanatana Goswami in Krishna Lila Stava, he says that Rupa Namashrita Vishta. Something happens to you when you join this movement. And we see someone comes, and I remember having programs with some Chinese devotees. And I met a lot of Chinese people. We used to have a place we were staying in Singapore. And we had some neighbors who liked to cook this kind of thing. It was like they take this little fish and they let it rot. And then they mix it with garlic and onions. And they cook that. It had to be right. And it was kind of like very, very toxic in the air. And those people, if you'd see them, they just look very, very dark in their complexion. But the same Chinese people, when we met some of them years ago when they came for Parikrama and Puri, they look so blissful and so beautiful because they're chanting the holy name. Because something happens to you. Sanatana Goswami says, Rupa namashrita avishta. When you're ashrita, when you're taking shelter of Rupa Nam, the form of the Lord, we're taking shelter of the form of Madan Mohan. And we're doing that to please Gurudev. We're doing that to please the Vaishnavas also. And we're trying to do it with our whole heart. Trying to pray to Madan Mohan and trying to please Madan Mohan, because that'll please the Vaishnavas. That'll please Gurudev. Not just we do something mechanical. So we take shelter of Rup, Nama, Rupa Namashrita. We take shelter of Krishna's name, Krishna's form. Then something happens, avishta. Krishna enters into that devotee. And this is what Raghunath Das Goswami describes in the beginning of his Mukta Charit with the words, Nama Shreshta Manamapi Sachiputram Atra Sarupam. That my Gurudev's given me the topmost name. What does it mean? Krishna's Advaya Tattva. Krishna's one. So what are you saying, the topmost name? Does that mean that there's a difference between some names and other names? Or Krishna's God 5 days a week, but he takes 2 days off on the weekends, and the names don't really work on those days? No, Krishna's always pure. Abhinatvanamanaminam. The name is always pure. Krishna's always pure. Krishna's always God. So we should understand there's a deep, deep purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said that we should never separate Krishna from his Sarup Shakti, Srimati Radharani. And in the same way, he said that Krishna is manifest as Krishna Nam, Abhinatvanamanaminam. And Radharani has manifested as Krishna Katha. And the two have a symbiotic relationship. If you have one without the other, then how can you achieve the symptom that Jan Chandra Goswami is speaking about? Mano madhyestito mana. Mano mantra samayuktam, where the mind and the mantra become one. If the mantra is just some syllables, Hare Krishna, then you're going to appreciate it when it's nice music. Or you're thinking it's a meditation, you'll appreciate when it's very peaceful and it's moving like that. But when we understand who Krishna is, who Radha is, what the purpose of the mantra is, then mano mantra samayuktam, the mind and the mantra become one. Etadi japa lakshanam. And this is real japa, this is real Krishna Nam. Someone who's chanting for no other purpose other than pleasing Krishna. That person's near. He's an idiot. He's a fool. He has no other purpose in that. He may be studying the Shastra, but the Bhagavatam is described in the first canto. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam. Famous verse. Prabhupada translates it as this scripture named Srimad Bhagavatam as a literary incarnation of God. But Sanatana Goswami gives another explanation of this. He says, Idam Bhagavatam, this Idam means this, this Bhagavatam, Nama Purana. This Bhagavatam is a Nam Purana, and either Anvya Vyatireka, either directly or indirectly, yet Sarvata Sarvata. The entire Bhagavatam from beginning to end is all about the holy name. And there's a symbiotic relationship with the holy name and kirtan. Otherwise, what kind of kirtan do we do? Someone's chanting, we were mentioning the other day, they're chanting Hare Krishna, I want a wife, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, right? Hare Krishna, when's the prasadam, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. There's so many things people are chanting. Who knows what everybody's thinking? But japa means mano mantra samayuktam, when the mind and the mantra become one. When we understand who the mantra is. And kirtan means when the hearts of all the devotees become one. But if we're only doing kirtan and there's no explanation for it, Srila Prabhupada gave us a Krishna conscious sandwich. He would do kirtan, and to put it in a kind of new age way, it opened the chakras and put us on the right page. And then what would he do? He'd fill that empty space with katha. He'd say something about the meaning of the mantra, something about chanting, something about Krishna, and it would touch the heart of the devotees. Parasparanu katanam pavanam bhagavadya mita rati mitastu shenavita mita atmana. 11.330 Bhagavatam. We should learn how to associate with devotees by coming together and having Krishna Katha. And the Sattva Tantra says, Adi Lila Satochara, Pareshi Satatam, Tvakarya Pritistavahara Yata Bhaktinanashyati. We should learn to love devotees. If you love the devotees, you won't fall down. Bhakti nanashyati. Your bhakti won't be destroyed. If you love devotees, your community won't fall down. Your movement won't fall down. It'll be successful. Okay. How do I love devotees? Hari Lila Sutochara, by hearing Krishna Katha. Then we get on the same page. And that Krishna Katha should be characterized, 11.330, the Bhagavatam says, by paraspara, some back and forth, some discussions. It's not a one-way lecture where you passively sit and, wow, he told a really entertaining story. That's cool. I like that. But there's some purport to it. We should understand that. I can't see the time. 9:25 right now. Okay. I just want to finish with a couple quick little stories about madness. The nature of this mantra, Mahaprabhu told Prakasananda Saraswati, he said that, I told my guru, he said, what kind of mantra did you give me? I started chanting this mantra and I became mad. Gorkishores Babaji was a famous sadhu. He was staying in Navadweep. And there's one dharmashal. And one day, this Girish Babu, who's the owner of the dharmashal, he came in with his wife and he said, Babaji Maharaj, we want to serve you. And because that's what you do with sadhus. And if you're a sadhu, that's what you do. You accept it, right? Because otherwise, how can you make your living? But Gorkishores Babaji was a little different. He's depending on Krishna. He's not depending on this wealthy person. They said, we want to do something for you. What can we do for you? And Gorkishore said, I don't need anything. No, really, we want to do something for you. And Gorkishore said, well, if you really want to do something for me, give me your stool. I'd like some of your stool. Give me that. And Girish Babu's wife said, we can't do that. If we do that, we're going to commit a great offense. And Babaji Maharaj then said, then go somewhere else. I don't want anything. But if you can give me your stool, that's useful. I can put that around my ashram and people will stay away. They'll leave me away. They'll leave me alone because they'll think I'm a complete idiot. I'm a complete madman. There's happiness in that kirtan, which is a haitaki. That's a yatma supasidati. But when we're doing it, even in our temples, let's be honest, we go to Mangal Artik, we come to Bhagavatam class because if we don't, they're not going to give me prasadam. That's haitaki. There's some motivation there. But when we do a program in someone's house, and you don't have to go there, it's just cool. There's just so much happiness in it. It's sweeter, isn't it? Huh? There's no motivation to that. Kirtan should have that mood. There's no other motivation. It's just pure joy. I want to finish by reading to you an English poem written by someone outside of our movement. And this is from the title of our talk today. The title of the poem is God's Idiots. And this is an English poetic translation of a song by Nam Alwar in the Sri Sampradaya. So I like reading poetry. Unfortunately today we don't have any translation going on maybe simultaneously. I'm going to kill any translators who are here. I'm sorry, it's too bad because I want to do this in English nicely. Mumbling and prattling the many names, why onlookers say they're crazy. Entering and not entering cities, standing still or swaying. Before a laughing world, they dance, they leap, undone by feeling. And the gods bow down before them. So this is God's idiots. People may think you're an idiot, you're a near. You can't fit in with everyone else. You're doing something religious, but you're not doing it for money. What an idiot. But you're God's idiot. And that's the kirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Gaura Hari Prabhu asked me today if I'd say something about kirtan. So this is my humble suggestion to all of you, that we have some kirtan that has no motivation, just pure joy, just for the pleasure of the Vaishnavas and Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan. We'll go ahead and stop there. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki, Gaur Premanandi, Vanchakalpadrubhischa, Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah, Ananda Koti Vaishnavendra ki jai. There's no time for discussion, is there? It's okay.
Thank you so much. Any one of you who would like to discuss more, please approach Madhavananda or keep discussing with each other for the breakfast time. like Madhavananda was mentioning, we have a lot of kirtan today, and we need also a little time for ourselves so that we can be sitting here when the kirtan starts. We have actually an amazing list of kirtanya this year who are here with us. So from beginning, yeah, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. I think you can get it.
Do you want this mic right here?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oops, yeah. So we have actually an amazing list of kirtanya from beginning to the end. We have really the best one we could imagine. So try to sit as long as you can in the kirtan as a preparation for the appearance of Lord Krishna. Two small things, practical. I think many of you know about Golokadam. When we have big festival, we need to run on river water during the festival, so it will start from today. In case you like to have drinking water, please go to the prasadam room. There is a particular tap where it's written drinking water. You can fill your bottles there, and obviously all what is in kitchen and like this we will use like well water for that. So today there will be also pizzeria open from 5 to 9 o'clock, and that will be actually a huge competition between Kirtan Seva and Prasadam Seva. And because the Kirtanyas are just so good, it will be really a challenge to find a place, but I'm sure many of you are very lovers of pizza and it should work out. So this is for the day. Please remember, it's a day of preparation. Remember all what Madhavananda was telling into the lecture also, so that it helps us to chant better. And we wish you a wonderful day. There will be a Kirtanya schedule list on the door very soon. Hare Krishna.